Test 30. In the Ielts test, you hear some recordings and you have to answer questions on them. You have time to read the instructions and questions and check your work. All recordings are played only once. The test is in 4 sections. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman discussing a change in water supplier. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now the full test will begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, as the recording is not played twice. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. Welcome to Westwater. How can I help you today?
Good morning. My name's Stephen Green. I've worked out that I've been paying too much for my water with my existing supplier, and I saw that it would be cheaper with you. I'd like to organise this, please.
Of course, sir. My name's Linda, and I'll be glad to help you. Can I ask at what postcode you live, sir?
It's CA6 4EW.
Yes, we can certainly supply your water, sir. Can I first ask you if you're charged according to a meter?
No, we pay a fixed bill.
Thank you. Now, I can see on my computer that you live in Primrose Road in Camborne, Mr. Green, but can you tell me at what number?
13.
Can I have your home telephone number?
It's 0135 749 752.
Thank you. Now, who is your current supplier, Mr. Green?
It's General Utilities.
Do you know if any of your neighbours have water meters?
Yes, both my neighbours have them. I was visiting the gentleman on my right and he showed me his. Then he actually let me see his statement showing how much he saved by switching his supplier to you, and that motivated me to call you.
That's good to know. So, we prefer to charge our customers according to a bill. Would you be happy to have a meter installed?
How much would it cost?
We'd install it free of charge, as the council pays for them.
In that case, I'd be happy to have a meter installed.
Excellent. The meter will also mean that you pay less for your bills.
Really? That's great.
Now, we need to have your bank details, as payment has to be done by direct debit from your bank.
That's fine. My bank is Western Commerce. The account number is 564 328 741. Do you need the branch code number?
Yes, please.
It's 73521.
Thank you. That's really all we need regarding the switch, Mr. Green. You'll just need to sign the form that I print out, and you'll get your confirmation through the post. Finally, can we have permission to contact you on your phone to ask you about other products that we or our partners might have?
I hate that, I'm afraid.
That's fine. I've made a note of that.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
Before you leave, Mr. Green, did you know that we also supply electricity to homes now?
No, I didn't.
There's a good chance that we can supply power to your home more cheaply than your current supplier, as well as water. As you will already be a water customer, you will also be eligible for a further discount that will almost certainly make your power supply cheaper.
That sounds interesting.
I think it would be a good idea for you. Nearly all our customers who use us for their water supply also use us for their power supply. It makes sense.
Can you give me some details?
The best thing to do would be to read this leaflet. It explains all the things that you need to know.
Thanks. I expect that I'll go for it if I'm going to save money. Do you know the actual price you offer?
The actual price of your energy depends on your usage. You just need to tell us this for last year, and we can tell you the probable annual price and the unit price. You'll be able to get the information from your bills from last year.
What will I need to do to change over?
I just need to add a couple of details about the power to the water form, and that will be all. I'll send you the forms to sign in the post, and you can send them back to me. We'll pay the postage to send them back to us, of course.
Good.
Of course, we'll need to change the electricity meter as well, but we can do that when we change over the water meter.
Yes, you mentioned changing them, but we haven't yet arranged when to do that.
That's true. It's Thursday today, so you won't be able to get the forms back to me until next week. How about I call you next week when I get the forms back, and we can make an appointment then?
That's fine. I'll get the forms done as soon as I get them, and I'll send them back immediately.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a woman talking about the local area in her town. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully to the information talk and answer questions 11 to 15.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my welcome talk on this area of town organized by your Neighborhood Watch team. First of all, I'd like to talk about local supermarkets. Cost Cut Supermarket is about a 10-minute walk from here down Whiteley Road. It's nice and close, but it doesn't have that varied a choice. It's got the essentials though, so if it's just that you need, then it's fine. The other is Super Shop Supermarket. It's a typical large supermarket. There's a large car park, and they have everything you could imagine. Finally, if it's late at night, we have the Late Shop. It's just around the corner, but it just has a few basics. It's more expensive, of course, than the supermarket, but in an emergency, it's a real lifesaver. If you're busy and can't go shopping easily, you can do all your shopping online with Super Shop, and they deliver the same day for free if you spend in excess of $20. There is also a local company called Bio Deli that offers a bio delivery service. They arrive in the early hours on weekdays and can leave milk, butter, cheese, fruits, vegetables, eggs, and bread. The stuff is of good quality, but a little more expensive. It's a nice luxury, though, to have things delivered and waiting for you when you get out of bed. You can order everything on their website after creating an account. There are lots of good restaurants locally, but there are only 3 that are walkable from here. The nearest is an Italian restaurant on Talbot Avenue. They do good pizzas and pasta, as well as some more imaginative dishes. They also deliver. I use it so often, I even know the number, which is 856-357. There is also an Italian delicatessen there, and you can get authentic Italian cheese, meats, oils, and wines. As well as the Italian, there's an Indian restaurant on the same road. I personally don't like this kind of food, but the place is supposed to be good, and they offer delivery too. Finally, there is a Turkish restaurant on Bushy Road. They do wonderful food. I can especially recommend the vegetable starters. They do lots of fantastic things with aubergines, tomatoes, chickpeas, beans, and lentils. It doesn't deliver, and you should also make sure you get a reservation on weekends, as it can get pretty busy there.
You now have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the information talk and answer questions 16 to 20.
I'd like now to talk about a wonderful local facility called Queen's Park. It's around a 10-minute walk from here, and the main entrance is in the north of the park on Albin Road. When you go in, there's a map on the left so you can orientate yourself. On the immediate right, there's a children's play area, which has the usual swings, roundabouts, seesaws, and other fun stations. It's not supervised at all, so you should keep an eye on your child if they're playing there. From the main entrance of the park, there's a walking path right around the perimeter. Between all the paths, there's a woodland, which is lovely for rambling through. There are 3 other entrances to the park at the other points of the compass. From each corner of the park, there are paths that meet right in the center. There, you can find a stage, where sometimes people do concerts or an open-air play in summer. That's really fun. If you want to know the schedule of events there for the summer, just go to the park website. If you want tickets to any performances, make sure you book early, as they sell out really fast. Just to the west of the raised stage, which is on the left of it if you're looking at the plan, there is a cafe that does hot and cold food and drinks. They have limited space inside, but when it's good weather, they have plenty of chairs and tables outside. In front of the east gate, there is a bike park with all the things that kids like to go up and down on with their bikes and skateboards. You'll probably want to keep your dog away from this place if you have one, as all the movement and shouting will overexcite it. Just to the east of the north gate is a bowling green. It's surrounded by a high hedge to keep people out, as the grass must stay in good condition. It's all very private, but they're quite friendly if you want to join. Finally, to the north of the west gate of the park, there is the tennis club. It's a membership club, but they do allow you to play there if you're not a member. You just need to pay extra for the courts.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear a student discussing some of his money and course problems with a lecturer. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, Dr. Stevens. Can I talk to you for a moment?
Oh, hello, Matthew. Yes, I've got a short moment, but I'm lecturing soon.
I wanted to speak to you about my finance issues.
Okay, what seems to be the problem?
Well, I'm a bit short at the moment and I have to pay the next instalment of my college fees by Friday.
I thought you'd organised your finances for the whole year.
I had, but I've run into problems. My parents promised to pay me a certain amount each month to help me out, and I've been using that for the college fees so far. However, Dad's business has taken a downturn, and they can't afford to give me the money this and next month. Dad thinks that in 2 months he'll be able to carry on paying me, and I can pay my fees with his money. But temporarily, I'm in a fix.
Aren't you eligible for a grant?
I have a grant from the local council, but that's a lump sum payable at the start of the year, and I used all of it to pay my Hall of Residence fees for the whole year, so I wouldn't have to worry about that.
Have you asked the bank for a short-term loan?
Yes, I thought that would be no problem, as it seemed I fit all their criteria, but it seems that this is not allowed if I have the local council grant as well.
Do you know anyone you can borrow from?
My friends are all students and they don't have enough money to lend me. One of them gave me some, but it's not enough for the whole amount I have to pay. I also thought of my uncle. He's pretty well off and generous. I've called and emailed him, but he's on a walking holiday in the wilderness in Canada, and I just can't get in touch with him.
I know we don't usually recommend it, but have you thought about getting a job?
Yes. In fact, I already have a part-time one. I've been working a few weeks already, but I don't get paid until the end of the month. If I can have just a week longer, it won't be a problem, as I'll have my pay in my account next Wednesday. And with that and my friend's loan, it will be enough for this instalment. The trouble is that the payment deadline is this Friday.
Well, I'll have a word with the finance department and get them to give you that. I know you're an honest man, and they'll accept it if I vouch for you.
Thanks so much. I'll get the money in very soon, I can promise you that.
I'll need to tell the college how you're going to pay.
I can do it anyway, really. I can bring them the cash to the finance office, write a cheque, or my preference would be to make a bank transfer.
What you want is what they will want, as they won't accept cash at the office, and a cheque won't do for a late payment because they'll have to wait for it to clear.
You now have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 26 to 30.
How are you finding the course?
I'm enjoying it, but I'm a bit worried about a few things, so I think I might switch courses next year.
Really? What's the problem?
I'm studying mathematics at the moment. Now, as I said, I'm really enjoying it and I find myself suitably challenged, but I've been looking at job prospects and I can't see myself getting a job with a maths degree. The current state of the economy doesn't help either.
There are a number of possibilities with a maths degree.
I know, I've looked carefully at the options. The trouble is I don't want to teach, and all the other options mean that I have to continue to be in college for some time to learn a business. I looked at accountancy, banking and law, and they all look fun, but it will take years to retrain. Even teaching is at least another year at college. I can change to, for example, accountancy now, and I won't need to repeat the first year even. As you know, I have money problems, and even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to afford another period of study.
Do you know the process for changing courses?
Yes, I've looked into it. I have to get the course change form from the registrar's secretary. When I've got it, I have to fill it in with my present course, with all my options that I've taken, and with my grades from throughout the year. Then I'll need to get the signatures of all the current course teachers and the signature of the head of department of the new course that I wish to take. That's another problem I've had with mathematics. The course is great, but I don't get on at all with some of my tutors.
You need to know that you'll have to pass all the end-of-year examinations in your current course in order to be allowed to change.
Yes. Another advantage of leaving my current course is that it has more examinations than any other. I don't like examinations, as I always perform badly in them.
Well, you seem to have thought things through. If I were you, when you decide on the course that you wish to change to, go and see the head of department so he gets to know you. Some heads of department don't like these kinds of changes, and if you see him or her first, it will give him or her the opportunity of getting to know you. It's always a difficult decision allowing a student to come from another course, so you'll have more chance of succeeding if you do this.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of a marine zoology lecture on the great white shark. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning. Today in this marine zoology lecture, we're going to look at one of the most feared predators in the sea. This, of course, is the great white shark. Media sensationalism and widespread ignorance have given the great white shark a reputation. Although the species is responsible for an average of 2 to 3 non-fatal attacks on swimmers, surfers, and divers each year, its role as a menace is exaggerated. For example, in the United States, more people are killed each year by dogs than have been killed by great white sharks in the last 100 years. Additionally, scientific studies show that the population of great white sharks is low, with, for example, perhaps fewer than 100 adult animals in California's waters, California being the main US habitat for them. Great white sharks have also been now recognized by the people of California as important predators in the ecosystem. In 1992, the great white shark was placed on the protected species list for the state of California, and since then it's been legally protected from unlawful killing or exploitation. The great white shark needs this protection. Although it grows relatively quickly, the great white shark only becomes reproductively mature at approximately 5 meters for females, which is when they are 12 to 15 years old, and 3.8 meters for males, which is when they are 8 to 9 years old. The litter of the great white shark is also comparatively small, ranging between 2 and 12 young. In addition to this, it's suspected that the gestation period of the great white shark is greater than a year, thus suggesting a parturition interval of between 2 to 3 years. These challenging factors combine to illustrate that the great white shark as a species is extremely susceptible to exploitation. Great white sharks are hunted for a number of reasons, but the principal problem is that traditionally the great white shark has been a target due to the trophy status of its jaws and teeth. A large set of jaws can be worth up to $10,000 to collectors. Great white sharks are curious and readily approach boats, possibly because they've learned to scavenge from fishermen's nets or long lines and devour hooked fish taken by rod and line or harpoon. This vulnerable propensity often results in either their own accidental entrapment or deliberate killing by commercial fishermen. In certain regions, the great white shark has traditionally been viewed negatively as manifesting a costly interference to fisheries, although some fishermen appreciate it for its role in eating other animals such as seals that devour their catches. This species can unquestionably be negatively affected by things such as sports, fisheries, the curio trade, and the oriental shark fin trade. Even the public aquarium trade has affected the great white sharks, as they have often been sought as the ultimate species to display in large public oceanaria. These display specimens unfortunately show poor survivorship so far. The overall long-term impact of these causes of mortality upon regional populations, coupled with the impacts caused through indirect fishery captures, is significantly detrimental. In addition, development, pollution, and overfishing cause habitat degradation, which also threatens this species, and may now largely exclude it from areas perhaps traditionally utilized for feeding or as nurseries, where it was historically much more abundant. It has been shown that the removal of even a few individuals apparently has a very tangible effect at discrete localities. Finally, especially following the film Jaws, authorities responsible for tourism have unfairly targeted the great white shark in beach meshing programs to protect bathers, and these nets caused fatalities to great white sharks. Fortunately, this attitude seems to be less prevalent today, with the public's increased understanding and appreciation of the environment. Protection of the great white shark is therefore vital to ensure its survival. Despite the fact that little is really known about the great white shark, concerns over the strongly suspected decrease in numbers led South Africa to be the first country to institute protective legislation in 1991. Namibia, Maldives, Malta, Florida, and California, the US and Australia followed this unprecedented effort. At present, the great white shark is classified as vulnerable on the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List assessment. This decision is based upon past figures and forecast decline rates. With the reduction of the world's fish stocks, increasingly more attention will be focused on targeting shark species by the fishing trade, as they, in the short term, represent an alternative resource. Unless scientists, educators, conservationists, managers, and policymakers work together, communicate and think sustainably, sharks, and the great white shark, will simply become rarer and then disappear.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.